If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and I am doing a brand refresh of the show, as many of you loyal listeners are probably noticing. And one of the things that we decided to do on the Project Me team is I'm being extra highly selective of the guests I bring on. I want to make sure each guest who comes on is willing to really share their raw, vulnerable truths, and that you are getting clear evidence of what is possible for you no matter what. Because we all create these stories. We'll tell ourselves, I started too late in life. I'm too old to make a change. Oh, I'm not pretty enough to do this. Oh, I'm not good at technology, so I can't go on social media. Oh, I should have done this before I had kids. And we come up with all these reasons why we shouldn't or why we can't. And I don't want to be your only evidence of why you can, or the only voice telling you it's possible and you can. I want to bring on other people where they have proof. They have the receipts that it's possible. Therefore, it's more proof for that brain of yours to put you in that abundance zone and going, God, she can do it. I can do it too. And some of you need permission. It's weird. We don't give ourselves enough permission. And sometimes just hearing another woman or another man or an entrepreneur, someone who has a similar life story or is in a similar space in their life where they've done the damn thing that you want to do, but that you've been resisting doing. Sometimes that's all it takes for us to cross over. That's what it was for me after 10 years of having the idea, the concept. I mean, I had the money to start Project Me. I had all that. It was my own self-doubt that was preventing me. And some of you might know she is Jenna. I think it's Jenna Kutcher is how you pronounce her last name. She's been in the online coaching space. She's an influencer now for a long time. She was the first and only person I saw who wasn't like Polly the influencer skinny online. She looked like a normal woman. And I went, okay. So there are like normal looking people who are online, who don't have perfect bodies, who are doing this. Okay, that gave me permission. Something as simple as that. So I guarantee for quite a few of you listening today, my guest is going to make you feel this way, because what she's doing is freaking epic. And I am so excited. This has been a long time coming to have on Asta Razma. Her name sounds made up. And it's not. She's just that extra where she was meant to have this name. So what's up, Asta?
Hey, Tiffany. I am beyond thrilled to be talking to you about my journey, just, meeting you. And you did inspire me as well.
I did. How did I inspire you?
You know what? By being completely honest with everything that you do, the journey that you have taken in life. Every little bit counts. It adds to the foundation of makes us who we are today.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, that's why I don't want to have any PR type stories, and I know a lot of these like motivational speakers, right? They have this like PR story that's like perfectly wrapped in a bow. No one's fucking life looks like that. And I doubt yours does either. So tell me, first off, you guys, she is you have in your bio, top custom art fashion designer. Mm-hmm. How I describe you is she is a breakthrough, most eye-catching new designer in an LA Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week. I have never seen a more fresh, unique fashion design approach than you it's been decades since I would say who is the last person I would compare you to is Betsy Johnson.
Oh, nice.
Seriously. Like in terms of being so out of the box.
Right.
And so wild and infusing that into your designs. I really feel that's part of why you've taken off. So tell us, I know you weren't a fashion designer your whole life. So how did we get here?
So I went to school for pharmacy and I was a pharmacist, met my husband, had 2 children, went into retirement at that point, raised the kids. And then my second phase of life began, as a lot of women are discovering now as well, that there are multiple phases to your life. So I always loved art. As a child, I would paint rocks. I would do paint by number. So that was the beginning of my art career. And that was at the age of 5. So when people say, how long have you been an artist? I'm like, pretty much most of my life. But I just kept going with that, in my spare time. So after the kids were grown, I tried real estate and then the market crashed a month later. So after that, I did some art pieces for Red Bull, and they used my ideas for billboards and marketing campaigns. So then I said, I've always loved the art, the advertising, the marketing. It's just my jam. I'm intrigued by the strategy. I'm intrigued by the branding of how do you take something and not necessarily to sell it, but when people see it, it incorporates everything that product is going for. So after Red Bull used my images, I made sculptures and I made it to the finals of several of the Red Bull contests. I said, you know what? I get bored very quickly also. So I said, hey, you know what? Maybe now, since the real estate isn't working out, pharmacy, don't really want to go back to that. I want to do a master's degree in marketing and advertising. So I bought 6 workbooks. I did all the workbooks because I haven't been to college now for decades. Forgot all that stuff. Passed the test, applied to DePaul University and did a marketing master's. And so then I said, well, what am I going to do with this? And so one thing leads to another. I started painting dogs because I still love painting. And, somebody's dog would pass away. I'd be like, oh, or it's their birthday. I would, paint their dog. So I was going to the Today Show. We go to New York a lot because we love Broadway. And one of my friends, Paul Mearswa, said, you know what? You should paint the Today Show dog. And I said, Paul, I'm leaving in 3 days. And he goes, no, just do it. So I did it. And I was on the plaza and I got a shout out, of course, from Al Roker and the team.
Oh my God.
It was so cute. Well, subsequent to that, every time I would go to New York and, when they had a different dog, I painted all 3 dogs. And then Hoda did an interview with me. But then also I painted Hoda and her dog Blake. And it was during December that I brought the painting to the plaza. And when she was with Kathy Lee, they would have my favorite things in December. Every day they would have my favorite things for gifts. And so Hoda said, you know what? I had my favorite thing picked out today, but this lady on the plaza gave me this painting of me and Blake. And here's a shout out to her. You should all order dog portraits.
Oh my God. It must have blown up.
Well, I didn't even know because my husband and I are walking up and down Fifth Avenue, hitting all the stores after that. Right. And all of a sudden my phone is blowing up. They're like, oh my God, you're on the 3rd hour. Hoda and Kathy Lee. They're like showing your painting and it's one of their favorite things. So I was like, that is so cool. I do everything organically because I believe in it. I don't do it because I have ulterior motives or whatever. I do it from my heart. And so this leads me to the second part of my story. I was following a photographer, Troy Jensen, because Joanna Krupa, who's a model actress, she has a dog charity and she's a huge supporter of animals. I met her in Chicago. And then I started following Troy. And Troy, unfortunately, one of his dogs passed. Now, I had never met Troy. And on Instagram, I just said, I'm so sorry for the loss of your pet. Can I paint your dog for you? Will that help you in the healing process? And immediately he responded and he goes, oh my gosh, that would help so much. And I travel back and forth between Chicago and Santa Monica because, first of all, I always love it here, the beach and all that. But I always felt a magnetism towards California. Even when I finished pharmacy school, I flew out here. First of all, I studied. I flew out to California, took my pharmaceutical exams and passed so I could be a board pharmacist here in California as well. But that never came to fruition. But still, I always knew California was going to be part of my life. So back to Troy. So I paint his dog and he said because he's a famous photographer here in LA. He's done every single major star, every single one. And so he said, in appreciation for this painting, I want to do a photo shoot for you. He goes, why don't you put some art fashion on clothing? And I said, what does that mean? And this was in 2019. So I made the painting for him in March of 2019. We did a photo shoot in May of 2019. And he goes, just go buy some jumpsuits or trench coats and paint on them. And I'm like, well, what should I paint on them? I don't know he's like, whatever you want. Okay, that's the worst thing you could tell me because I'm very specific. I think because of my pharmaceutical training, I drew.
Totally, which is why you probably gravitated to me because I share all the details.
I don't know. I think it was many things. It was many things that I gravitated to you about, with. And so I just went, I don't know, paint anything. So I started painting my name, artist, this or that. So we did this photo shoot and it was fun and exciting. And he didn't even tell me this. He was flying to New York. He was doing a photo shoot with a model. And then after the photo shoot, he went to the Patricia Field store in New York. Now, for those of you who don't know who Patricia Field is, she is an icon in New York for sure. She did all the apparel for Devil Wears Prada, Sex and the City, and Studio 54 Days. Like everybody knows who she is, right? So Troy goes to the Patricia Field boutique because they're friends. And he goes, look at this girl's Instagram. I just did a photo shoot with her. She paints on clothes. She should be part of your boutique. And one thing led to another. And guess what? I became part of the Patricia Field family. So I started making clothes for her. And then Troy is like, how Lady Gaga says one person will change your life. He's my person.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's, and now and I love that you said that because I always say like when the student is ready, right, the right teachers appear, but it could just be one person, right, which is exactly why I had you on because you're paying it forward. You could be that one person.
And I am, and I'll tell you that later. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm getting emotional, but so then after I got into Patricia Field, he said, well, now I want to introduce you to the Archive Showroom here in LA. And the Archive Showroom is a showroom for stylists. My friends are like, what's that? And I say, well, imagine Rent the Runway, but only for stylists to use the clothing in music videos, magazine shoots, editorials, red carpets, etc. So then people are like, oh, okay, I get it. I said, only stylists have access to this showroom. So Troy says, you're in Patricia Field now. I want you to meet the girls, Mila Stone and Alexis Lerma at the Archive Showroom. It's in West Hollywood. So I did. I went over there and I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed, not ready. They were beautiful people, fun to, super nice, super friendly. So that was in September that was 2019. So then now, meanwhile, I'm doing like art fashion. I'm doing it for Patricia Field. Troy asked me to do different things. He's putting it on different stars for photo shoots, etc. So then I started painting boots and I said, I drop an email to Alexis, are you interested in something like this? Because I said, start small and like level into one thing, not all over the place. So I sent her a picture of a couple of boots that I painted and she goes, I love it. Bring them in and show me. So this was last year. So it took me about a year and a half to develop myself. Now
that's not very long though, girl.
Well, I remember I'm impatient. So when I work on something, I give it like 1,000%. That's one thing. And I'm very honest with people because people will ask me to be on projects. And I say, listen, I would love to be on this project, but I can't give you 100%. And I can't compromise your project and my sort of artistic integrity and give you like a 75% job. And so
I mean, you have to really that's really an abundant mindset, because what most people do is, oh my God, I'm getting this opportunity, I better take it, for fear if they don't, they will lose it, or you never know when the next one will come. It sounds like you trust that there's more than enough. And if this isn't the right timing, it's not the right timing.
Right. And I do believe that. But that being said, I am a Libra, so I am very balanced. And I think I'm a different Libra than most. I'm very stoic in my decisions. I immediately know yes or no. I don't really waffle. If I waffle, wow, that's like probably 2 or 3 times in my life I waffled on something. And it actually shocked me that I didn't know the answer right away. Because I know pretty much I either love it or I don't love it. Like I'm very, like that. So that being said, I do take opportunities now, and sometimes they terrify me because I don't know what I'm doing. Like the first LA Fashion Week.
I was like, this is wild. You're just like, yeah, I'm doing LA Fashion Week. That's fine.
I know. So listen, I joined the showroom like August, September of last year. So they call me and they say, hey, I know we have 5 of your coats and jackets, but we want you to make 12 to 13 complete looks. And by the way, LA Fashion Week is in October.
Dead.
And dead. But what did I say? Oh, absolutely, I will do it.
Of course.
Because I can't say no to that. And then I went, what the hell am I going to do? I don't even know what to do. But I did it. And it was so cool because most of the people that come to my showrooms, LA Fashion Week, that this one was not open to the general public. It was only open to stylists, influencers, media people, etc. And so, of course, Troy was there in the first row, in the first seat. And he's like, how do you feel? Like he did my makeup and hair for the show. And I said, I feel fine. And he goes, no, really? He's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I'm good. So I don't think he believed me, because he's like, how could she be okay? She's never done a fashion show and she's just so confident. I was like, once the work is done, my confidence it's there. It's when I'm still working on the collection and sewing the chains on or spray painting that I'm like, oh, shoot, did I do that right? Or should I add more, whatever. So anyway, so I do LA Fashion Week and I walk out, I own that runway, and everybody was like, who is this girl? And so,
I was watching on social and I was like, okay. I'm like, you just owned it. Where does that come from, that you genuinely were able to take in the moment and own it, and you really didn't know what you were doing?
Well, I've always loved celebrities. In Chicago, during that interim of I'm really bored and I want to keep trying new things, I saw a little blurb on a media outlet that said they were looking for real medical people to work as background extra on a TV show called Mob Doctor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can combine medicine with television stuff. It's like the perfect storm. So I go over there. They sign me up. I ended up playing a doctor for 9 episodes.
What?
Yeah.
This is so random.
But no speaking roles. No speaking roles. I was just background, but I was a doctor. Actually, the first scene I did, which I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm like, I'm a real medical person, so I'm just being myself. They put me as an emergency room doctor. And
you're like, well, maybe this isn't quite what I was going to do.
It was great though, because I was like, it was super exciting and I was hooked. So I did that for a couple of years. And then through that, I met Ben Garza, and he was doing like little movie shorts. He was also background extra. He has another job, but he loved doing like TV movies, little blurbs. And so I ended up shooting a little movie with him, which I had to memorize lines, which, can I just say, for me is the hardest thing. Oh my gosh.
I'm terrible at that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Because terrible. I thought, I'll memorize it, but they're like, cut here. Now we're switching the camera scene. Now we're doing it from this angle. And I'm like, okay, I totally forgot all my lines.
That would be me.
Totally
I'm like,
forgot.
This is not,
terrible. But it was a great experience. So it is somewhere online, whatever. It's not great, but if you want to see bad acting, there it is. Anyway, so from that, I also did a stage production. And I played Marshall Field's wife. So you're from Chicago, so you remember Mr. Marshall Field.
I have a lot of Midwesterners, Chicago people, like Marshall Fields. Give me those Frango mints immediately.
Exactly. And it was about the Haymarket riot. So it was a historical stage production. Same thing. I've never done. I mean, I'm not an actor, but you know what? I love new opportunities and I love new challenges. And that's what keeps me going. And that's why I think I do say yes to certain projects, but very much in the vein that I am confident that I will be able to do it.
Let me go back a beat to this Today Show shout out that occurred. And I appreciate what you said, right? It happened organically. You were not like pining to get on the Today Show and doing it for that reason. Not that there's anything wrong with pitching yourself to be on the Today Show, but you were letting the universe do its work. Did you end up getting like a lot of notoriety and making a lot of money off of that happening?
Not at all.
Really?
Yes. So I did get a couple of emails, probably around 6.
I'm shocked because I'm thinking you would have gotten thousands.
Being on TV, it's not enough.
It's not. And I appreciate you saying that
not enough.
Because all these people online, and I know you get targeted too, where it's like, you can be in Forbes for $10,000. And it's like all this crap. I'm telling you guys, that is not, it's not, but I would have thought, given that I've not been on the Today Show yet, I would have thought the Today Show, like a platform that size, I would have thought that would have converted to cash.
You know what? You and me both are surprised. I was, and the other thing, people don't appreciate how much both time that artists put in to their work. You know, people want to pay $100 for something that maybe takes 2 weeks to make.
Oh my God. I know.
Not to mention the experience that you have to have.
Right.
You know?
And the energy and all of it. I mean, I have a lot of creatives, empaths, healers, you know, that listen to the show. And there is a thing like in the art world, right, of any kind of art where it's like very hard to make a lot of money doing it because there is that mentality of, oh, well, people, you know, someone could go to Forever. I don't even know if they have Forever 21 stores anymore, but someone could go to Forever 21 and buy a can of spray paint. Right. And it's, oh, now I have a jean jacket with this and that on the back of it. Like, why do I need to buy an Asta design?
Right.
And what would your answer be to that?
Well, mine, you can imitate, but you can't be the original. And so I already have people that, I don't want to use the word stalk me on my Insta stories, which if you've noticed, I'm posting a lot less now.
I did notice that. I just thought it was because you were busy preparing for your next thing. I didn't know there was something else happening.
But also I actually have a huge photo shoot downtown LA on Sunday. And I've created another new collection since my last LA fashion
Oh my
week.
God.
I know. So yeah, it's just one thing leads to another because there was a videographer that liked my work at LA Fashion Week. And he said, let me arrange this photo shoot. And he got 14 models and 14 hair and makeup people. And we're going to be doing a shoot downtown LA. So I'll be posting all the video and everything next week once I get it back. There's going to be 2 or 3 photographers, a videographer. I mean, it's going to be a full boat photo shoot.
Now, are you noticing already? Is there anything, let me rephrase that. Is there anything coming up for you where you start having like these little self-doubt thoughts creep in? Because this almost sounds like this is too good to be true type of incredible story.
So to be honest, I mean, I've only been doing it for 9 months. From 9 months ago when I joined the showroom, I have had 7 major celebrities wear some of my pieces. And like Paris Hilton wore it for her Key Australia I Work My Gloves. Frankie Grande wore one of my coats for the Spider-Man red carpet in December. Bella Poarch wore several pairs of my gloves for Nylon magazine. And Johnny Weir just actually wore my gloves These are all different gloves, by the way, not the same pair of gloves for Eurovision. For Eurovision.
That's
He just wore my
awesome.
gloves like a couple of days ago.
Oh, I see it. I see it on your, you guys go to her Instagram, because you're going to be inspired regardless by going on there, because this is the definition of giving yourself permission to be wildly outside the box, which is truly what you need to do with any brand or business in marketing, in product development, if you want to stand out in a sea of a highly saturated industry. So she's at Asta Razma. So it's ASTARAZMA. I will also have her Instagrams in the show notes if you swipe up as well. All right. So go on. Tell us more.
So do I have self-doubt? I create pieces that I truly love. And so when I walk into a store, for example, I went to New York within the past month and I walked into Bergdorf Goodman with one of my graffiti trench coats.
Like you were wearing it?
Yes, I was wearing it. I wore it up and down Fifth Avenue. 3 people stopped me on Fifth Avenue in New York and said, "Where did you get that coat?" So I know I'm on the right track. So I walk into Bergdorf Goodman's and the salespeople are like, "Where did you get that coat?" Because they know the top of the top.
Right.
There's no store like Bergdorf's. So I said, okay, I'm on the right path. Then I walked into Louis Vuitton. I went into all the stores, Gucci. The salespeople run up to me. They're like, "Where did you get that coat? What's happening? Who are you?" And so I'm like, I can't wait to come back to New York and bring more of my coats. Even though I did New York Fashion Week, that doesn't mean everybody sees it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no such thing as too much exposure. But I mean, I do it in a way where I want to see the people's reaction. I'm walking down Fifth Avenue and I see people looking at me. Some people are too scared to say something, of course. But I'm looking for, are people am I getting a positive reaction or a negative? It's my own market research.
I was just going to say, what interesting market research. And I mean, you can get market research. I'm sure you can tell by the reaction of certain designs you post even on Instagram, right? The ones that really generate reactions from people have obviously sparked some emotion in them, which is what you want.
Right. Exactly. And I could hire people to do that, but I want to see their reaction. I want to they're like, "Where did you get this jacket or bomber jacket or trench coat?" And I said, "Well, I'm an artist. I made it." And they're like, "Wow, that's like amazing." And this is the kind of things that I want to see when I go to a store, something funky, something with pizzazz. And I'm kind of seeing the same things. And like Bergdorf's, I can't afford Bergdorf's. I love it someday. But, I want to create accessible, cool, off the chart looks for people. And when I do have a client that comes to me and says, "Here's what I want," I have dialogue with them. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you have a special phrase? Do you want your name in like fuzzy letters with like sparkles on it? I mean, everybody has their own idea.
You guys, I'm just not sure what. We'll talk after your next big project, but I'm like, what? Because I have a photo shoot coming up too, because I'm doing a whole brand refresh. And I'm like, I mean, if you were to pick designs that are 100% in alignment with me and my brand, they're her designs. Like she has bags that say "secure the bag." She's all about like the dollar sign. It's like that edgy street vibe. And I fucking am here for it. Like it really evokes something. And that's also, I mean, tell me, your thoughts on it, given that you obviously have, studied marketing. Do you feel why you've had such success in such a short time is because you were willing to go outside the box and your designs they're scroll stopping. They evoke something in people.
I do believe that is true. I am unapologetically myself every day. It's what I truly believe. I truly believe you should get paid for what you do. Cut the check, right? Cut the check.
I'm like, God, there's so many phrases that are so good. Yeah. It's like, honey, yes, I accept all payments and you're going to pay me.
Yes. Well, I love the ZFG. Like I use ZFG all the time.
I mean, the ZFG zone, baby. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I mean, I get just from my truck driver's coffee mug with my custom zero fucks given messaging. I forget it's in the front. And you're in Santa Monica, I'm in Manhattan Beach. It's I walk around and you know what I love? I love that it makes people feel something. I've had people tell me to fuck off. I've had people accuse me of being like, I don't know, the whole red pill, blue pill thing. Like they went down a weird political route. I'm like, where do you get the political messaging and zero fucks given? I'm sorry, but where did that come from? And then there's a lot of people who are like, hell yeah, girl. I love that, sister. And it's kind of like what you're saying when you walking around with your designs or when your work, when you're getting a response from people like that, that's when you're on to something.
Correct. 100%. 100%.
How did you give yourself permission to say, listen, I'm not going to be like counting pills for a living? I mean, I can't think of a job that is more not you than being a pharmacist.
You have no idea how many people have told me that.
There's zero creativity in it.
Truth be told, I've always loved medicine. I'm kind of
I love
both-sided brain. Yeah.
I love I mean, my other company's all in pharma and medical marketing. I mean, I love hashtag I love pills. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I find it fascinating.
That's a good slogan right there.
It really
but so I did truly I'm going to make the story short, but my parents were immigrants from Lithuania and they came here with nothing. The true immigrant story, they got their $5. They didn't know English. And during this and after the Second World War, through the church, they got placed into a home. They got a bedroom with another family. And so my parents were always like, I've always loved art. Every single art teacher I ever had, you should go into art. My art was like insane even when I was in high school. And I go, I want to go to the Art Institute of Chicago. And my parents said, what? And sell velvet paintings at the gas station? Because remember back in the day when they would sell the velvet paintings? And I looked at them and I said, but I was good in science too. And I did love anatomy and biology. And I thought about being an anesthesiologist, but then I said, I don't want to go to school for 13 years. Like that's too long. So I said, nursing, I don't want to get my hands in all that. I said, you know what? Pharmacy is nice and clean. And I still have that knowledge of medicine, which is great knowledge to have, let me tell you. So I said, okay, my mom's, well, just do pharmacy and then you could go to art school. I'm like, yeah, right. Who's going to do that? So I always knew, even when I was a child, I said, I'm going to do big things. I didn't know what it was going to be. I'm an only child, by the way, as you are. That's another similarity that we have. But I remember sitting in my bedroom, I was probably in 6th grade, and I'm like, you know what? There's more for me. My parents are immigrants. We were doing okay, but we were definitely not doing as well as everybody else. I didn't lack for anything. We had a small house in Chicago on the Southwest side. I mean, it was fine, but I was like, I want more. And even as a child, I knew I want more. And and the only way I'm going to do it is work for it. So my work ethic, oh man, tenacity is my middle name for sure.
And this is so important for anyone to hear, that you guys are building a business, growing a business. I mean, tell us about the work behind the scenes, because you're popping out like that whole collection. And now you just created another collection for this upcoming big shoot. I mean, are you staying up all night? I mean, that's a lot of work, you guys.
So it's really interesting because I think half of the work is in my brain. The hardest part about what I do is the idea. The execution. If I had somebody sitting here writing down ideas and handing me a piece of paper, I could have another collection in a week.
Oh my God, that'd be like my dream. I'm the idea person.
The idea is the money maker. The execution, I can knock it out. No worries. But I also scroll. I do a lot of Pinterest scrolling for the mere fact of not only for my inspiration, but I also don't want to do what somebody else has already done. I want it to be uniquely mine. And I'm very careful with that because I don't want to copy other people's work.
It's interesting you say you do a lot of scrolling because I have to do the opposite. I'm also in a different line of work, but I have to do the opposite because I'm always working with my clients or my mastermind students or whatever. I have to not consume conventionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I can look at fashion. I can walk around in nature. I eavesdrop on a lot of conversations while I sit at cafes and have an inappropriate amount of everything. I'll sit there for hours. That's how I get my unique content. Because if I am consuming too much online, I am afraid I will end up naturally kind of copying, but not mean to, but just kind of blending. But you actually do go online to ensure that you don't. So what is your creative process?
I don't know. I would call it complicated and uniquely mine. Uniquely mine. I don't even know. I've always loved street style stuff. I've always loved Andy Warhol. Get this. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what age or what year it came out. I had a subscription to Andy Warhol's interview magazine when I was a kid.
Oh my God.
I mean, if that says anything,
did you cut out like pictures and put them on your wall?
I wish I would have saved them all.
That would be really cool.
So that was always my influence. Andy Warhol, like the pop art, like the soup can. I mean, I actually ate Campbell's soup several times a week, but I just loved everything about it. The colors. I've always loved street art, graffiti. When we travel through Berlin, I mean, there's so much, people are like, oh, there's too much graffiti in the States. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh no. Have you been to Berlin? Everything is tagged. Everything.
That's exactly why it's on my list to go. Cause that's the kind of art, there's like a raw and a grit to it.
Right.
That really is appealing to me, but you still had to give yourself permission to really dive in to this fashion world. And there's a lot of stuff in the fashion world, right? Like it's the beautiful people. You've got to know certain people. If you're not in it by a certain age, you're not going to make it. If you're not living in a certain place, there's a lot of like stuff that comes with that. How did you mindset wise go, you know what? I'm doing it anyway. Was it kind of like, hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work?
I never thought it wouldn't work. I don't know. I'm like uber confident, but here's my motto in life. Why not me? Why not me? Because I see other things that are out there and people are making money. And I'm like, well, if they can sell that, then let me show you something different.
How do you feel? I have to ask this because I don't know how I feel about it. And I'm probably going to get like the terms wrong. How do you feel about like this NFT art? Like this bit, I don't know what it even is. It's like cyber currency art. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are, I would love to go into NFT art. I need to connect with somebody who knows what they're doing, because to navigate that whole crypto world, you have to know what you're doing. It's not just the usual and customary art gallery world, or I go to bank and deposit money world.
Yeah, I'm very confused by it all myself.
It's confusing. I feel like NFTs are here to stay. I think it's the future. And then there's the whole thing where people have skins and they design outfits for their characters. I think it goes with the game playing and all those different types of things. It's all interconnected. I'm totally open to it. I don't know how to navigate that world. Yeah, crypto, it's a whole new level of understanding. I'm not there yet. I'm not not either.
I wanted to ask an artist what their thoughts were on that. So you always have the thought of why not me?
Right. Yeah.
That's unusual because most people, myself included, I'll still show up and do the damn thing. That's what makes me different. But I do have a lot of thoughts of, God, can I really do this? What in the hell am I doing? Or I'll say, can I keep this up? Because what I've created in 4 years is incredible, right? So sometimes I have the thought of, well, can I really keep this going and growing? Do you have any of those thoughts given how quick of success you've had doing this?
For sure, I have days of self-doubt, 100%. Like I'll create some pieces that I absolutely love. And I'm like, how come they're not showing up in a music video? How come they're not like, what's going on? And then I've
had those thoughts about your pieces. I'm like, I better get her to commission a piece stat before she's uber famous and it'll be like $1 million.
Well, we'll make it $500,000 for you.
Oh, well, gee, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, because you get the secret sauce here, because people always want to know, God, what is it? Like, what's the secret sauce? What does she know that I didn't know? Why was this available for her? I've been pining away and chipping away at trying to have my design seen or my artwork seen or even picked up by one small gallery, and it's not happening for me. And I know my work's good. What do you think the difference is?
Well, I've been told this by other people, and they said, you're really different than any other artist we've met. And I said, how? They said, your self-confidence.
Yeah, because most artists are very riddled with self-doubt.
The other thing is I am a master manifester. I have a vision board. I write things down. In fact, my girlfriend and I we sat down in January of 2020. This was before the vaccines were out. Everything was looking very dark. We didn't know what the future was going to bring. And especially me as a medical person, I knew this is bad. This is bad. And how long are we going to be in this? How long will we not be able to see our friends? You know, it was devastating. So I said, okay, it's January 2020. Let's write down, what do we want this year? What are our thoughts? What do we need to think about every day? How do we get it? Let's work on this. Let's put it in our mindset. So she wrote down hers. And for myself, I wrote down, I want my art fashion in a global magazine, on a red carpet, and in music videos. This is what I wrote down in January. And my girlfriend said, in her mind, she didn't tell me this at the time. She said, well, I could see the magazine. I could see the music video. She's not going to get a red carpet. She's my neighbor in Chicago. Red carpet? What?
We eat carbs and have cocktails together. Come on.
And that's what we were doing, legit. and binging on Netflix. I mean, that's what got us through COVID. So guess what happens? In December, Spider-Man red carpet. Frankie Grande is wearing my neon yellow coat with the chains on it. And I nearly fell off the couch.
Wow.
People were actually coming. So he's my friend now on Insta, and he DM'd me and he said, everybody was walking up to me saying, where did you get that coat? So I felt so proud. And I said, I squeaked it in. I got all three. So I consider myself a master manifester, but I have to be honest too. Like I tell people what I'm working on. Hey guys, I'm working on this new collection, or, hey, did you see my new graffiti coat? I'm constantly, in a good way, not in a frying pan
like
over
not
the
in a
head
like
way.
salesy, pushy way,
Not
but
salesy.
like you're loud and proud about your work and your projects, and you are shameless about mentioning and sharing it with people.
Right, because here's my advice to other artists. You can have the most incredible artwork or the most incredible art fashion or whatever you're creating, but if nobody knows about it, nobody's going to see it, right?
And so what do you think it is that the people listening who are like, God, I'm posting on social media. I've, been on some people's podcasts. I feel like I'm talking about whatever it is that they have. I feel like I'm talking about it, my services, my products, my art, whatever. I feel like I'm talking about it all the time and nothing seems to be happening. What do you think from a practical standpoint is probably the issue?
Maybe their lens is too wide. I would have to see the individual accounts to maybe drill down on that.
It comes down to niching, right? Like
maybe a little bit of niching. I mean, yes and no. I think it kind of depends what your service or your creative is. Then I feel like doing edits, and I'm all about brevity. That's another thing. Like I keep drilling down. Like even now, this collection, there's extra pieces. We're going to probably bring extra pieces to the shoot, but at the end of the day, we're only going to use the top of the best looks. So always have extra, but drill down to like the diamond, right? The one, what's the most important thing? Or if you can combine two ideas into one, like slogans are another thing that I love. I love slogans or catchphrases, but the less words, the better, because people will remember it, right?
Totally.
So brevity is key. And don't overwhelm people with too much information. Like stick to what's the one message that you want to send them. And maybe work on that for a month or something and see if that gives you more of what you're looking for.
Right. What's the one thing you want people to remember? And if you vomit up a couple paragraphs, I can guarantee they'll remember probably none of it.
Right. Exactly. So I say brevity is key. The less you say, but more meaningful. It has to be meaningful, but short. People will listen to that because now, especially with social media, it's a disposable society. We don't have time. We have 5 seconds, go. Elevator speech, all of that.
I would also say in me just, being a digital marketing expert and analyzing your brand and your account, it's also the energy and conviction behind your work. Mm-hmm. Energy doesn't lie. It's very clear that this shit's popping. You want it. And if you don't want it, I don't know what to tell you. This is hot. Like this is the thing. And I've got it.
Exactly right. You nailed it. I mean, I do believe in my work because like I said, when I go to a store, this is what I want to see and I'm not seeing it.
It's
Even
all the same regurgitated crap is what's in the stores. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so again, my work is maybe not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart, but you could have a pair of gloves that are graffitied and the rest of your outfit is neutral.
True. I mean, and in fact, like that mixed media, right? Where you have like you throw in a little bit of edge, even with a more preppy look. I mean, that could be a cool vibe.
And I think that's it's understated, but it shows the confidence of, hey, I'm bold enough to wear these gloves. Mm. Even the rest of my look could be neutral, cream or blue or whatever color. And I'm going to pop it with these boots, or I'm going to pop it with these gloves, or I'm going to pop it with a little beret. That's do as much or as little. Like I love the bomber jackets and trench coats because I walk down the street and I know nobody's going to have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm drawn to. Also, mm-hmm. I love making a statement. So I'm like,
right.
I mean, I would probably wear it with like my yoga pants underneath. I'm not caring. Like I wouldn't even make a look of it. I would just be like, hi, I'm here for my coffee.
That I have to tell you, that's what I do. Cause here in Santa Monica, I have my favorite salad place that I go to every day. And my whole closet is filled with different types of jackets. And every day I wear a different jacket. And then some days I'll get lazy and just wear a hoodie with nothing on it. And the people that work there are like, oh my God, you didn't wear like a jacket today. And I'm like, I know, I was lazy. Like legit. I mean, people are now expecting to see something fresh on me when, I go pick up my salad. So it's just fun. It puts a smile on people's faces at the end of the day. I go through airport security. All the TSA people are like, wow, I love your look. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Because everybody just wants a little bit of happiness and just something different. Maybe
people are craving different. It's the sea of copycats, filters, regurgitated information. You want fresh, you want different, but the only way, and all of you have it in you all have fresh and different in you because you're uniquely different. It's that you're not giving yourself permission to unleash that and present it to the world. That's the problem.
And I feel that if people do give themselves the permission, just do a little experiment and try it and see the reaction that you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Try it on like little bites. And
where it doesn't overwhelm you to the point where you get like paralyzed in fear. I mean, that's how this podcast got started. I was so sick of the same shit and hearing the same circle talk bullshit from business marketing experts. I was manifesting people. I was over it. And I was like, you know what? I'll give this a year And if it doesn't take off, it doesn't take off. But I know if I'm craving it, someone else has to be craving it.
That's exactly how I feel about my jackets. I said, I like the street style graffiti look. If I like it, there's other people that like it too. But with your last point about the advice and all that, I have read tons of sort of like business. How do you become a successful business person? I just love reading inspirational books in general. And I have to be honest, like 10 of the top people that have written these books, I'm not even going to say their names. The message is the same.
Totally.
You have an idea and you keep working on it. Dr. Seuss got rejected hundreds of times, and look at it's Dr. Seuss. Everybody knows who Dr. Seuss is now. Don't let other people's opinions curtail your success.
And you might not have immediate success. Everyone's journey is different. Like this podcast, it was not immediate. It was a slow growth. Then there was an explosion period. It's not like out of the gate, all of a sudden I had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people listening. You happen to have some pretty quick success with this endeavor of yours. But that doesn't mean because someone else didn't, that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep going with it. It's just your journey looks different.
Correct. Now, remember, I've had like probably 6 or 7 different careers before this popped. True. So I'm like on career 7 or 8 or 9 or it's hilarious because my husband, he's a physician and he talks to other physicians and nurses and they're like, oh, what does your wife do? And he's, well, how much time do you have?
She's on her 7th reinvention of herself.
But this is my final. And that's okay. This is another really good point. You know what I tell people? Never give up. If you believe in your idea, if you believe in what you're creating or marketing or whatever, keep refining. Don't give up on it. Keep refining it till it is the absolute best version that you can make. Because the number one thing is finding a thing that you believe in. Because a lot of people, I think, they go through life, they're not happy with this, they're not happy with that. I get it, but keep searching. And I have to tell you, all the things that I've done, the Red Bull stuff, that got me used to being, I had to create a sculpture, teach 2 anchor people how to make a Red Bull sculpture. They're like, you have 45 seconds. And so that one week, literally when all that Red Bull stuff came out, my phone was ringing off. The newspapers were calling. They wanted to interview me. TV stations were like, come on and teach these. It's going to be a live shoot and you're going to teach these 2 anchor people how to make Red Bull. So I had to cut all the first I had to get the idea, but it's you literally like click, click, click. You have to go and do it. You can't be like, oh, well, can I do it next week? No.
Oh my God. Exactly.
Because the exhibit is this week and we want it on our, news program like today, So I say the foundation of even being a background extra, like I'm not scared to walk on a fashion runway.
That's my favorite. Your path was how it was supposed to be to build you up to your final legacy.
Yes. Subscribing to Interview Magazine when I was a child.
It all adds up. It really does, you guys. I mean, I was a former TV newscaster. One would think I would have made that my career. But look, I had no idea when I did that training that training I was going to use in podcasting. Podcast didn't exist. I mean, you would have been a freak if you even mentioned doing something like this. So it all does add up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why I say don't give up. Work on different things. Work on whatever attracts you, because I feel all the things that attract you for a certain reason. And whenever it's your time in your journey, all those things are going to come together and it's going to pop whatever you're working on.
I adore you. I'm so glad the universe connected us because that's the only reason I can explain it.
Me too.
I adore you. You're so refreshing to this world. You really help. You are a muse for my content. It just reminds me to be wild and fresh. Really. I mean that.
And why not? Yeah.
And I just adore what you're doing. And thank you so much for sharing all of this with everyone listening. So there's no way people aren't walking away with going, you know what? Like, I can at least try this.
Right. It's never too late. Never too late.
And it's never too late. In fact, the timing's just right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Love you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.